Welcome back to the UX Design Show. I am your host, Emmanuel Johnson Jr., and today I want to talk about an article I saw yesterday, and I want to read a little bit with you today and discuss this big news. Figma, the application that's very similar to UXPN. You can design, prototype, wireframe, all in the same application that works on PC and Mac. They just raised $25 million so that they can keep up with Adobe XD. And I think that's very important that they pointed out Adobe XD. Number one, let's get this off the bat. Adobe is the biggest company. I don't care how much you love Extra, Sketch, any of these other places. Because of their other platforms, they are number one. And they're number one for a reason. And they've taken out the competition for a reason. I'm actually going to do a video on the history of Adobe and how they became who they are, because there was someone else before them and they completely wrecked them. But let's get into this. Figma's calling out Adobe XD. They raise this money so they can go directly at Adobe XD. And here's the reason why, in my opinion. Of course, here's the reason why. Number one, even though it's only been around for 2 years, you've had Extra for a long time. You've had, you know InVision. You've used their product for a long time. This is true. But Adobe XD is coming from a wheelhouse of a bunch of super popular applications. None of us can put on our resume, none of us can fill out a resume without putting Photoshop or Illustrator on there. And there's a reason for that. They have the confidence, right? And they also have a built-in subscription base. Remember, they got rid of all of their applications as standalone products. You can only get them through their subscription. You can subscribe to some of them or all of them, but you have to go through their subscription base. So here's some of the advantages of Adobe XD and why Figma is targeting them in particular. If you're a designer and you're paying for Photoshop or Illustrator, you have Adobe XD. There's nothing extra you need to do. You have it. So if you're already paying for your Adobe subscription, right, then you have to decide, well, if I really don't like Adobe XD, am I going to spend the money to, pay for another subscription to add to it? Because most likely you're going to need Photoshop, Illustrator, right? You got to have those. But Adobe XD also comes with that same subscription. They're not even raising the price. It's built into the subscription price. So how do you get people who already have access to Adobe XD? They can try it. They can just download it. They have the subscription. So how do you pull those people away? And the best way to answer that question is money. You need to market yourself, and you need to find a way to set yourself apart from the competition. So here's the next part of the article that I think is important. All right. The next part of this is that they raised the $25 million for it to be completely web-based. A lot of applications are going away from having physical copies. Everything from other industries like video games, we've seen it with movies and music. Everyone wants to get away from having a physical program because of the limitations of the device, of the hardware. If it's web-based, all you have to do is make sure you have great servers. And as long as you have great servers, you can pretty much negate any issues or problems I'm going to have with my PC or my Mac. You don't have to worry about memory or any of those things because you're housing all of that somewhere in some company in some place, right? These are not problems. But I think there's a couple of paragraphs that I want to read to you guys that I thought was interesting about this article. Competitors in this space include the mighty Adobe, which launched its Adobe XD prototyping and wireframing tool in October after 18 months in beta. Though it still only works on Mac and Windows 10 anniversary and later, Adobe XD is still in its relative infancy. But given the company's existing footprint and reputation in the design realm, it will clearly be a major competitor to the likes of Figma. Elsewhere, New York-based InVision offers similar UI prototyping smarts, though you have to create the mockups and wireframing using a separate design tool, while Dutch startup Bohemian Coding offers the popular Mac-only app Sketch. That's a big deal. So basically, Figma is completely ignoring InVision Studio. Their thought process in this paragraph is that Adobe XD is here. They're not worried about Extra. They're not worried about UXPN. They're completely going after Adobe XD and saying, you know what? If InVision Studio ever shows up, we'll worry about that at the time. but we need to target Adobe XD because it's in people's hands right now. And like I said, they have a built-in client base. If you can rip people from that client base, then you're golden. And you know people can be because, again, I've had this conversation privately, and now I'm talking to you guys. Adobe should have done this a long time ago. They allowed the UX field to get flooded with competition. Adobe XD is so late. It's so late. There is still time for another company to submit itself as the ultimate UX tool. And Adobe XD is very incomplete. It is very, very incomplete. It's a great tool. I love it. It's become my favorite to design in. I still like doing my prototypes in Action, but it's super incomplete. And they're saying, we have a more complete tool. We need the money to make it web-based, do something different than your competition, right? They're gonna make it web-based, and we need to market this thing. Trust me, that $25 million is all about marketing to us to get us away from Adobe XD. All right, I got another paragraph I want to read to you guys that I think is also important. Figma claims some big name customers, including Microsoft, Uber, and Slack, indeed Kleiner Perkins, which led to Figma's latest funding round, is also one of Slack's backers. Mahmoud Hamid, general partner at Kleiner Perkins, sees some similarities between the two companies. This is Kleiner Perkins. Figma makes the design process more open and collaborative so teams can develop and bring new products to market faster, said Hamid. In many respects, Figma's traction and potential remind me of Slack at this stage. So here's the guy who backed Slack. Everybody knows Slack. Almost every application has Slack integration. So it's not just Figma. It's not just Figma in this article. It's Figma and Slack both pushing against Adobe XD. That is big. That is big. That is two major heads saying, we're going to work together, get this done, and we're going after Adobe XD. Look at the other names in the article. Microsoft, Uber, Kleiner Perkins, they all are funding this. They are funding this because they see that there is still time before Adobe XD becomes the thing we use and we don't use anything else, and then everybody else gets pushed out the way. There is still time to take this market. So that's all I got for you guys. I got a link to the article below in the description. Please tell me what you think in the comments. Hit me up on Facebook or Twitter. I think this is super interesting, the amount of money you're going to read about in this article that's been thrown around by InVision, over $230 million that they've been raising to do this. That shows you that our market is growing, it's building, and it's not going to stop. They are fighting for our mouses. They are fighting for what we use every single day. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Catch you in the next video. Peace.